All right. Good morning, Boone. How are you?
Wonderful, Jess. How are you doing?
Pretty good. So, welcome everybody that's joining us on Facebook. I am Jessica Barnes Green. I am the director of Outer Banks Forever, the nonprofit partner of our lovely national parks here in the Outer Banks. And I'm really excited to be joined this morning by Chief Ranger Boone Vandzura. So we're going to talk a little bit about just ways that we can enjoy our national parks really safely this summer. So Boone, I don't think you're a coffee drinker. Are you a coffee drinker?
I am a coffee drinker, but I'm on the water already this morning. So,
Yeah, so I feel like you had a busy morning. I had quite as many meetings already as you had. So I'm glad you could join us.
yeah, no, I'm happy to be here and happy to talk about the National Seashore and Wright Brothers and Fort Raleigh National Historic Site.
Yeah, so I thought we'd start off with just kind of giving people an introduction. So your title is Chief Ranger, which sounds very exciting and important, as it is, of course. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like to be the Chief Ranger? What does that mean? What does your typical week look like for you?
Yeah, so I'm the Chief Ranger of Cape Hatteras National Seashore, Wright Brothers National Memorial, and Fort Raleigh National Historic Site. So it's 3 parks, all run by the Outer Banks group. And I'm the Chief Ranger, so I'm in charge of the Visitor and Resource Protection Division, which encompasses all the law enforcement rangers from Body Island, Hatteras Island to Ocracoke, and then all of the fee collection staff at the 3 islands too. So the fee oversee the programs. We do have other managers below me that supervise that manage the actual programs, but it's a pretty diverse group of people and activities. But the primary thing is we're here to protect the resource and protect the people from the resource and the resource from the people. And so we deal with a lot of folks that are out on the beach enjoying themselves that may need some advice on safety on the beach, or may need some information on why we have different areas that are restricted for different shorebirds or sea turtles. The fee collection side of the house is all the Wright Brothers entrance fees. The campgrounds are 4 wonderful campgrounds that people are loving and utilizing more and more each year. And then the off-road vehicle program where folks are able to drive out onto the beach and enjoy the beach. And then the Silver Lake Marina. So a wide variety of duties, a lot of duties that are out of doors, and a lot of visitors that are here on vacation out enjoying themselves.
Yeah, that's a big job. And I think, so you mentioned our ORV, which is our off-road vehicle program here at Cape Hatteras, which is pretty unique. So I think I would imagine that provides a unique set of safety challenges sometimes, just having people driving on the beach. So it's great that you're kind of overseeing that program. And certainly if people have questions about that program, we're happy to help them direct those to you and to your team about how to enjoy the beach safely.
Yes, and so last year we started, this year we're continuing the programs, the beach ambassadors that are out on the ramps or out on the beach, talking to visitors, saying, please air down your tires. You know, it'll make it easier to travel on the beach. We don't want you to get stuck. We don't want people to get stuck behind you. We don't want you digging big holes in the beach because you didn't air down. We tell folks, please slow down. You know, when you're on the beach, you know, we want folks to go 5 miles an hour when they're near people for the safety of all the people out on the beach. We want folks to look out for the signs so that we're protecting our shorebirds and sea turtles. And we want folks to just recognize they're using that vehicle to get out on the beach and then to enjoy, but it's not a recreational activity to drive all over the beach to like Baja around. It's just like it's the same vehicle you go to church is what you use to drive on the beach to go, you know, that it's not in the sand dunes, you know, running amok, if you will. So our beach ambassadors are out there to educate folks, answer any questions they may have. They might direct them to a different ramp that's easier to drive on, answer their questions, make sure they have an off-road vehicle permit and they understand the rules and regulations so that they can have a safe vacation, and that we can educate them. So when we're like, oh, make sure you pay attention to rip currents. And when they give you that look like, what's that? We can be like, well, let me tell you. So it's a great way for us to interact with the visitors and educate them right as soon as they're coming onto the beaches. So that's been very successful this year.
That's great. So we'll just kind of jump right in because you've already sort of started down, what are some of the top things that we want visitors to know? So when you think about visitor safety and keeping our visitors safe while they're here on vacation, but also our locals here that are enjoying our beaches, particularly at Cape Hatteras, but certainly there's safety concerns and things to think about during the summer at all of our parks. Just what are the top things that you think people should know about or just kind of remember that they might forget when they get here to the beach and they're starting to relax and enjoy their time with their family?
Yes.
What would you recommend that they make sure they think about?
The first thing I think about is ocean safety. So it is the Atlantic Ocean. Yes, we're coming to the beach to have fun, but people need to realize it's Cape Hatteras National Seashore, and there are specific rules to protect this wonderful resource. But it's the Atlantic Ocean. So I often get stories, whether from the tackle shops or parents that I run into, that they're out on the beach and they're locals and they're watching people not paying attention to their children, and it just scares them. So what the locals tell me is we got to try to educate these people. And I think Dare County, all of our lifeguards, all the towns up and down the beach, OBX Forever, we're putting the big push for love the beach, respect the ocean, so we really are pushing that. So ocean safety, knowing about rip currents, swimming at a lifeguarded beach, having flotation, swimming with a friend, and then just paying attention to rip currents. We want folks to really understand that it's the Atlantic Ocean. Every day is a day to go to the beach, but maybe not go in the ocean. When the ocean is big and angry and rough and could knock you down and hurt you, we need to recognize that it can do that. Maybe that's a day to go to the sound side. Maybe that's the day to find a swimming pool, go into the shops, go to Fort Raleigh, go to Wright Brothers, go to or many other attractions in the area, whether they're private or state. But when the ocean is really rough, wait for a better day or stay on the beach. And if you're going to stay on the beach, wear your sunscreen, hydrate, supervise your children. So we've found that when the ocean is really rough, people dig more holes on the beach. And deep holes on the beach scare the staff, because the sand can collapse and bury someone. We don't want folks injured, but kids are just digging. They're having a ball, but they need to recognize the hazards of it. And that's what we're out on the beach trying to stress and tell people. When we find the holes, we fill them in. We tell folks, hey, this is what you need to be aware of because we don't want you to get hurt or injured. So the first thing for safety is, the ocean. And then it's just all of the other things associated with a hot environment or vehicles driving, people on vacation, not paying attention. Unfortunately, we have people that drink too much alcohol and drive, and they're a hazard to themselves. They're a hazard to our visitors on the beach. They're a hazard out on the highway, and we won't tolerate it. And we will arrest folks that are under the influence of alcohol and can't drive. So we want folks to be following the rules. Same rules apply on the roads as they do on the beach. DUI is DUI. We want folks to be safe and be thoughtful about their actions. Find a designated driver, please.
Yeah, and I think kind of what you're talking about too is even if you're not one of those folks who's hopefully doing that or hopefully not doing those things, it's just being aware of your surroundings. So, right. So being aware of the other cars on the beach, being aware of, to your point, if your child is digging in the sand, that's a wonderful thing, building sandcastles, but you don't want to make that hole so deep that it could collapse and then they're buried under sand. And I think I've heard you say once, because you were talking about when the ocean's really rough, but for example, I was out on the beach this morning, which was a lovely way to start the morning. And the ocean was relatively calm this morning, but I think sometimes we sort of get lulled into this sense of when it's calm, you think, okay, well, it's calm. But to your point, it's still the ocean. It's not a lake. There are still rip currents when it's calm. There are still waves that can come and surprise you and, you know, easily knock down. I know I've been knocked down by waves that I didn't see coming. So I know that children frequently get knocked down by those waves. So I think your point of just being aware of your surroundings, I think sometimes, like I said, it's easy when you're on vacation. You sort of just want to relax and forget about those things. But
yeah, I mean, and that's what you need to do. You know, I say that if the kids are in the ocean, there should be an adult or a supervising adult right there with them, so that you're right there, so that if something happens, you can scoop them up and you're right there with them, because we don't want anyone hurt or injured. You know, unfortunately, it can happen, but we want folks, we hope these messages help decrease that number. And we hope that folks are out there that are watching, stay close to your kids, pay attention to them, you know, because it's the Atlantic Ocean.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and can you tell us a little bit? So the photo behind you shows one of our lifeguarded beaches, and you mentioned so most of the towns north of Cape Hatteras have lifeguards on the beaches, and we also at the seashore have a couple of lifeguarded beaches. Can you just talk about where those are and how people can safely swim there?
Yes. Yep. So we have 4 lifeguarded beaches in Cape Hatteras National Seashore. The first one heading south is Coquina Beach. All of the beach areas have a big parking lot. They have showers, flush toilets, parking area, lifeguard on the beach from 9 to 5, from Memorial Day to Labor Day. That's where we recommend you go swim, because there's a lifeguard right there. You can talk to the lifeguards and be like, hey, help educate me about rip currents. Our lifeguards do a wonderful job of educating our visitors. They're also there to save and protect them in that zone and area. So our first one was Coquina Beach. Then we have it at the old lighthouse site in Buxton, down at Frisco, at the Frisco Day Use area, and then down on Ocracoke Island. So we have them spread out because that's where we would like folks to swim, but you can swim anywhere up and down in the ocean. You just need to recognize that there are not lifeguards there. There are wonderful water rescue groups that help protect Hatteras Island Rescue, Chickmiconico Banks, you know, that are out, Nag's Head up on this end, that are out to help rescue folks, but we really don't want to call those folks. We want you to have a safe vacation. Well, we appreciate all of our partners that are out there helping make sure our visitors are safe. But it's incumbent of the adults, the people there, to look at the rip current forecast every day. If you're here for a week and you go out to the beach this morning and you're like, wow, that's kind of rough, you know, or you're like, wow, it's nice and calm. But then when you go the next day, and if it's rough, choose your day, have that be the driver that determines what you do, whether you're in the ocean. Because Mother Nature, man, Mother Nature always wins. She's a force.
Right. It's the Atlantic Ocean. I think that's a great reminder for us. Just, I think, like I said, especially on days when it seems calm, it feels more like a lake or something like that. And it is the ocean, and it's very powerful. So
yes.
So let's talk about we talked a little earlier before we came on about options for folks to visit our other parks. Let's say it's not a great ocean or beach day and they want to experience our other parks. So can you tell us a little bit about where you'd recommend they go at Wright Brothers in Fort Raleigh?
Yeah, so we are the first national seashore. So that's Cape Hatteras National Seashore. We're first in flight. So that's Wright Brothers. And then the first English colony, which is Fort Raleigh National Historic Site. So Fort Raleigh, what a great place to get in, walk around the woods, stimulate your mind to be thinking about the first English colony that came over here and settled and then what happened to them and where did they go. And then you can take short walks on the trails. There is activities in the visitor center. So the visitor center is pretty cool and really thoughtful. Talks about the Titanic. I'll mention that. So kind of go in there and be like, oh, what's the message about the Titanic, or what's about Freedman Colony, and how is that important, and how does that area relate to it? So a few teasers there to kind of get you into the visitor center. It's air conditioning for one, and out of the bugs, so that's good. And also some place to walk around and get in the shade. The other, Wright Brothers National Memorial. Holy cow. So first in flight, the Orville and Wilbur. I mean, think about what they did. And they were the first person to fly. They're your crazy uncles, your crazy brothers that are trying to do things that you're like, they can't do that. And they did. So anything you can imagine, you can do, so with the right amount of effort, the right amount of thought, being a student, figuring out how to engineering, think about all of the things that they did that people said that couldn't be done, and they did it. So it's a great place to engage your children, the other adults you're with, to think about new and creative ideas, doing the impossible, talking to your kids about what do you want to be? What do you want to do? And you can have these great conversations because you're like, that's what these guys did. And so I don't know what the next thing will be. And it might be that Wright Brothers is what stimulates that, is what gets that thought that makes that child go, I can do this. And that's what inspired them to do something. So Wright Brothers, whether you're walking the flight path, whether you're hiking the hill, just really neat places to be able to get out and make you think, and then talk about history, talk about flight, talk about how maybe our great grandparents, that what they've seen in the last 90 years in life, and then what's up and coming. So it's for me, it's very inspiring, and it's just great for me. And when I take my children there and talk to them about it, I mean, just stimulates a lot of great conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very lucky to live around the corner from Wright Brothers, and that is one of the first places I take people that come to visit, whether they've been to the Outer Banks before or not. It's one of my favorite places.
Oh, yeah.
The center there is also amazing if you haven't been. The renovations they did, I guess, 2 years ago now. It's an amazing space, also air conditioned. Also plenty of green space to just, run the kids around. And I think, always the reminders there: hydrate, drink water, wear sunscreen. And I think I always tell people Fort Raleigh to me is sort of, because it's the lesser visited of our three parks here. And I know you live over closer to Fort Raleigh. It's one of my favorite places to go. It's so beautiful. You've got this really lush maritime forest, so tons of shade, to your point. It's great trails. You can go over to the sound and put your feet in the water. You get to experience all of the different stories that are there. So you were saying, it's the site of the first English colony. It's also the site of a freedmen's colony post-Civil War. And we're actually going to be working with the Rangers at Fort Raleigh tomorrow to record one of their programs about the Freedmen's Colony that we're going to show here on Facebook this Saturday to celebrate Juneteenth. So just to your point, so much history, so much inspiration, and so much to do. If it's not a great beach day, we've got all of these other great resources and parks and entertaining things to do. So
yes. Yeah, no, it is great. I mean, that's a wonderful part of living in this area is all of the opportunities that are around that you can enjoy, and then I think of, oh yeah, the Lost Colony Theater, I mean, and so whether you go to the show or whether you just look in and see the theater, what a great backdrop and location to be able to tell that story. I mean, and whether it's the other federal visitor centers or state in the area, I mean, just lot of things, the museums, just a lot of neat history in this area. And that's what's kind of fun to think about. Like, what did this area look like 70 years ago? and then what it looks like now, and just all the big fishing communities, all the opportunities for fishing, soundside activities. I mean, a lot of diverse activities you can do.
Yeah, and I think two things that came up when you were saying that is, so we are, Outer Banks Forever is the partner that supports our 3 national parks, the parks that you work for. And a lot of people don't know that which parks necessarily are the national parks. So we've mentioned Wright Brothers, Fort Raleigh, Cape Hatteras. But we are all just park lovers. And I think that Jockey's Ridge, which is one of the most famous parks here as well, which is a state park, is one of those places where you really can go to get a feel for what it was like when the Wright brothers were here. Because Wright Brothers, where our park is not, it is the site where they did their first flight, but it looks a little different than it did back then. It probably looked more like what Jockey's Ridge looks like. And so that's a great place to go to. Again, always remember the water, remember the snacks, remember the sunscreen. There's no shade there either, but there's so many great things to do.
Yeah. One thing I forgot to mention is our lighthouses, the 3 lighthouses. I mean, holy cow, Cape Hatteras National Seashore. So the Hatteras Lighthouse and the Body Island Lighthouse. Right now, you can climb the Body Island Lighthouse. The Hatteras Lighthouse is under renovation. So it's getting some good work that needs to be done. But you can go on to rec.gov. That's where we do our reservations for all of our campgrounds. You can get your ORV permits. You can get your Body Island Lighthouse climb tickets. You can get your full moon climb tickets for the Body Island Lighthouse. Silver Lake Marina, that's where you soon, you'll be able to reserve your spots down on Silver Lake. I mean, so just a lot of good information, a lot of ways for visitors to access it 24/7. You don't have to wait for a building to be open to purchase it. You can just go online on your computer on rec.gov and make those reservations. Go to our websites to learn more information about it. A lot of information there, safety-wise. It'll talk about the lighthouse, the height requirements, all the things that you go, okay, we want this to be a positive experience, but tiny itty bitties, can't climb the lighthouse, So we just want folks to be aware of that. And then if you do climb the lighthouse, show up, 10 minutes early so that you're ready, so that you're like, oh yeah, this isn't good footwear for climbing the lighthouse, or I'm carrying a big backpack that has a spotting scope stick out of the back. You're like, nah, that's not going to be good on stairs. So we want folks to show up early there. So I can't believe I forgot the lighthouses.
I know, geez, Ben.
Just so many great things.
Yeah, and speaking of the lighthouse, I will say that you mentioned right now climbing is open at Body Island Lighthouse, but the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse is not open. But we did work with you all to put a webcam at the top of the lighthouse that is available on our website, obxforever.org. So if you're really just missing that beautiful sunrise, that view, we've got it online for you, at least for now, until we can climb again. So that's great.
Yeah. Nope, it is a pretty amazing view. The sunrises, sunsets here. Holy cow, just amazing. That's one thing that I really enjoy is that quiet time out on the beach. You can go to the beach and you can be with hundreds of people, or you can find those different spots along the ocean or the sound side where you're like, okay, you can just enjoy the quietness and the serenity and look out across the ocean and just contemplate, pretty amazing resource.
Yeah, it really is. So one of the questions that we have been asked before, and I know that you all get this question quite a bit too. So kind of coming back to safety, and this is a little more pertinent to Cape Hatteras National Seashore, but certainly also applies at Fort Raleigh and Wright Brothers. Could you tell us a little bit about what visitors should do if they come across an animal who seems to be injured or an animal who is deceased, and sort of what the procedures should be and what maybe not to do if they do encounter wildlife on the seashore?
Yes, no, thank you for asking, Jess. So first off, pets are required to be on leashes, whether it's at any of our 3 sites, that's across the National Park Service, because pets can chase wildlife. They can kind of get their noses into different things that they shouldn't be, and they can scare wildlife, whether it's the shore birds that are nesting on our sea seashore or the sea turtles that are coming up on the beach. Most of the sea turtles come up in the evenings, but sometimes we do have some day nesters. So different wildlife will be resting on the beach. If they're a baby seal or something that's just like, hey, I'm worn out, I'm pooped, it might go up on the beach to rest before it continues on its journey. So we need to be aware of just let the animals be. You might think that it's cold and put a jacket on it or something, and that's well-meaning. They don't need that. What they need is just space so that they can relax, calm down, rest, and then go back into the ocean. However, if you see one of these, don't approach it, don't touch it, get close enough to take a photo or something so that you can have that memory, but zoom in, don't walk in. And then we have a number of stranding hotlines. So if there is an animal that's hurt or injured on the beach, call the stranding hotline. It's a 252-216-6892. So 252-216-6892. And then a trained professional can come out, look at the animal, see what needs to be done, and see what best help that animal needs. So we appreciate folks letting us know, but what we don't want them to do is stress out the animal anymore. We don't want them to get them bit. We don't want that animal that needs to rest to be encouraged to get back into the ocean too soon. So please give us a call, and we'll come out and take care of this situation.
Yeah, that's
thanks for asking.
A great reminder. So I will put that phone number in the notes too, so people can find that easily. And since you mentioned our turtles, I do have on my sea turtle necklace today because today is World Sea Turtle Day. So we are celebrating special. Some of our favorite visitors, I think, to the Outer Banks are our sea turtles. So we're really lucky to be working on some sea turtle programs with you guys. So people can find more information about that on our website as well. But thanks, that's really great information. I think to your point, it's always well-meaning. People think that they can help the animal, but typically, animals in the wild, they know what they're doing. They're doing things to protect themselves. And to your point, stressing them out is not going to be as helpful. And I think the same thing, though, if you find animals that are deceased, certainly you don't want to be, touching or messing with animals. That way they can also just call your number. That can be taken care of as well. So that's great reminders.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to wrap up. And I think one of the things that you talked about earlier that I did want to kind of go back to, and it really, we are talking a little bit about sea turtles. And we did have last month, Megan Johnson, who is our chief of resource and information science. She has some long title that I always have to look at her business card, but she oversees the sea turtle programs. And so folks can look back at that video. It's also on our YouTube channel. But you mentioned both digging holes and beach driving, and those are things that also affect sea turtles. And so when thinking about not only our personal safety, but the safety of the wildlife that shares the seashore here, I think that's just something to remind people to fill in those holes. If your truck does get stuck, it would be nice for you. Sort of like I'm not a great golfer, so I have a tendency to dig up a lot of dirt when I'm trying to golf. And, it's nice to put the grass back into the hole. Same thing on the beach, is to refill not only for our personal safety, but for the safety of our animals.
Yeah, and it's also for the safety of our emergency responders, because folks may be driving out on the beach to help rescue someone. And if we have to drive out at night because someone's doing something, and then we drive into one of those holes or something like that, it could be hazardous for us too, or visitors that are in their beach house that are gone for a run. And all of a sudden they're like, whoa, not good. So something else I'd like to mention. So for safety wise is 4th of July is coming up. Mm-hmm. Fireworks are not legal. They're not legal in the National Seashore. They're not legal on Hatteras Island. Do they sell them north of us? Yes, they do. They're not legal. Are they fun? Maybe they're fun, but they go up, they come down. They could create fires. their litter, their trash, their things that could go in the ocean that are marine mammals might eat or something like that. So fireworks, please, not here. Watch them on TV, please, and let alone folks getting hurt or injured by them too.
Absolutely. That's a great reminder. And I believe this year, I think most of our fireworks displays last year that the towns and the county put on were canceled, but I do understand that I think they are going to have most of those displays. So yes. Fireworks that are going to be done for you. So that's a great reminder for a lot of safety reasons.
Yeah, they'll be done by professionals. You have places on Ocracoke, Hatteras Island, up north here, plenty of places to go to be able to do it. Let the professionals do it so that you can just sit back and enjoy, rather than potentially get a lot of people hurt or injured. We confiscate hundreds of pounds of fireworks every year. We issue violation notices for it, but it starts with they're illegal. They're prohibited on the seashore. So please, folks, no fireworks.
No fireworks. That's a great reminder. Thank you, Boone. So before we wrap up, is there anything else you wanted to talk about as far as safety today? We covered a lot, so we will we'll put some notes together so folks can have these great reminders.
Just love the beach, respect the ocean. Go to the Dare County websites, watch the videos. They have everything from surfers educating people, the local business owners, so that they have those messages for us. Recognize that it's the Atlantic Ocean. So every day is a day to go to the beach, but it may not be a day to get in the ocean.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. And you folks can visit the Love the Beach, Respect the Ocean. Sorry, hold on. This is what happens when you're live on your computer, Ben.
Yes.
So folks can visit the Love the Beach, Respect the Ocean website. It's lovethebeachrespecttheocean.com to find more of those tips. Also, we will not only include the animal stranding number that you mentioned, but there is also a program here called OBX Alerts. So if you go to the Dare County website, so darenc.com, you can sign up while you're here on vacation to get text alerts of ocean conditions, rip current conditions, any red flag days, things like that at different beaches. So we highly recommend folks sign up for that while you're here. But yeah, this was really great, Boone. Thank you so much. And then I kind of wanted to end a little bit of a personal note because you and your family were actually a little bit in the news this week. And I read a really great article by our friends at the Coastland Times. So can you tell us a little bit about what your daughter's doing and what your family's doing?
Yeah, so my family, my wife Jan, son Hart, and daughter Ellie are raising a leader dog puppy for the blind. So we'll have Scout, or I'd say little Labrador, but she ain't little anymore. She's growing up fast. But we'll raise her for 12 to 14 months. We already have the date on which we'll return her to Michigan. And our jobs as puppy raisers is to take her everywhere we go. So orient her, show her all the sights and sounds that she might see when she's guiding a person, and then just teaching her good manners, and training her so that she can be a well-behaved puppy.
That's so great. That's so exciting, and just a really great service that you guys are doing. I know someone will really appreciate having her lead them in the future. So that's great. It's so exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, just experience-wise, for my family, and so my daughter, our whole family is just learning a ton about raising puppies. We've done it before, but it's also just about giving back, and that's very important.
Very good. Well, Boone, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always great talking to you. This was really wonderful information. I think people, good reminders for us this summer. So I think we can just end with love the beach, respect the ocean, and thank you very much.
Yep. And if folks have any questions for me, they can call my cell phone, 252-475-8307. So you have questions about the seashore, you want to know what's going on, by all means, give me a call. But we want folks to have a wonderful vacation. We appreciate all the locals that help educate our visitors, and whether they're educating them at their tackle shops, whether at the restaurants, whether they're giving them advice, at all over the place. It takes a community to help protect all of our wonderful visitors and have a safe experience. So that's a wonderful thing. So we thank them. So thank you, Jess.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
All righty. Goodbye now.